हरे कृष्ण। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन जशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय ओम विश्वपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोदश श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस श्री भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री नाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की जय। Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 10, Text 6 today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So we'll recite the verse. Tapasa hi edhamanena vidyaya chatma samsthaya vivriddha vijnana balo nyapad vayum sahambasa. तपसा ह्येधमानेन विद्यया चात्मसंस्थया विवृद्ध विज्ञानबलो न्यपाद्वायुं सहाम्भसा तपसा ह्येधमानेन विद्यया चात्मसंस्थया विवृद्ध विज्ञानबलो न्यपाद्वायुं सहाम्भसा Mataji's. Word for word. Tapasa by penance. He certainly. Edhamanena increasing. Vidyaya by transcendental knowledge. Cha also. Atma self. Samsthaya situated in the self. Vivridha matured. Vigyan practical knowledge. Balaha power. Nyapat rank. Vayum the wind. Saha ambhasa along with the water. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Long penance and transcendental knowledge of self-realization had matured Brahma in practical knowledge, and thus he drank the wind completely along with the water. Purport. Lord Brahma's struggle for existence is a personal example of the continued fight between the living entities in the material world and the illusory energy called Maya. Beginning from Brahma down to this age, the living entities are struggling with the forces of material nature. By advanced knowledge in science and transcendental realization, one can try to control the material energy which works against our endeavors, and in the modern age advanced material scientific knowledge and penance have played very wonderful roles in controlling the powers of material energy. Such control of the material energy, however, can be most successfully carried out if one is a soul surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and carries out his order in the spirit of loving transcendental service. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातान् सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगणा ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. Seeking the blessings of all the devotees, all the Vaishnavas, so that I can speak something meaningful on this very, very glorious subject matter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So here we are in this 10th chapter of the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in our discussions. And the context is that Brahmaji has offered his prayers in the 9th chapter of the Bhagavatam to the Lord to protect him from the material energy, from any deviation in his service to the Lord, in his service of creation. So he has offered beautiful, heartfelt prayers. And after the prayers have been offered, now the work begins. So they say the lips that pray and the hands that work, both are important. So Brahmaji offered his heartfelt prayers, the lips that prayed beautifully, but then they are also being accompanied by the hands that work, where Brahmaji is now engaging in the most important activity of creation, creating this material world to facilitate all of us, so that we can learn our lessons in this school of this material world. So I'll just, reflecting on this theme of this verse, see how we can also learn something from this verse. So here what's happening is Brahmaji is, is beginning his creation, and suddenly there are violent winds, and the water is very turbulent. The water of the ocean, below is very turbulent. There are violent winds. So typically these are signs of bad weather. When you say the weather is bad, so generally speaking, there are many seasons in the year, right? But when do we say that the weather is bad? There's bad weather forecast. Think about it. So bad weather is characterized when we say that there is, lot of storm, there's high winds blowing, and there is torrential rains. So water and wind are two characteristics of bad weather, right? Although there are many other seasons, the winter season, the summer season, but then we call the weather as a bad weather in general when there is water and winds. And this is exactly what Brahmaji is encountering here, with this bad weather in his service to the Lord. So this is, there's literal bad weather and there's a figurative bad weather. So in his service, as in our service, as in our life, there are good times and bad times. good weather and bad weather. So Brahmaji is currently facing bad weather in his service. And Prabhupada writes in the purport that the material energy, Devihi Esha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratyaya. The material energy is insurmountable, and the material energy is not even leaving Brahmaji. Right? We may think that, the creation created by Brahmaji is full of tormenting situations, but even Brahmaji had to face tormenting situations. Yes, so material energy doesn't leave anyone. That's the nature. Right from the beginning of the creation, the first living being, Brahmaji, he also had to encounter what we see as the bad weather. And last, if we say that bad weather is about rains, too much rains, cloudy weathers, you can't see the sun, and there's so much rains and winds blowing, then probably last 6 months we have been having that in Mumbai here. When I first time came to Mumbai and I was, studying at IIT Bombay, so one fine day there was heavy rains, heavy downpours, and I come from Rajasthan, so I never saw such rains. So I was just sitting in the room, I thought there won't be any classes today. It's such a bad weather out there. Who will go out? Who will venture out? And then one friend passed by and he said, "अरे क्लास को नहीं आ रहा है क्या?" मैं बोला, "अरे आज तो छुट्टी होगा ना, इतनी बारिश में कौन जाएगा?" He said, "No, this is Mumbai. Everything goes on here." Right? Whatever be the weather, the classes will go on, take an umbrella and come out. So, we say that there are good weather, the fair weather devotees. Fair weather devotees means when everything is going right, we are coming to temple, we are chanting, we are coming to the programs. But then something goes wrong in our life. There are reversals, crises, temptations, and then our bhakti becomes slackened. When there is a bad weather, a situation of reversal or crisis in our life. And many times we feel that once this crisis settles down, once this reversal settles down, then I will be back to my service. Then I will be back to my sadhana. Abhi just this exam, let me just get over this exam, this appraisal, this annual appraisal, let this get over, then I will resume my chanting nicely. And maybe this health issue is there. Once this is resolved, then I will do my bhakti nicely. So we all many times feel that once the bad weather is over, then I will resume my services and my chanting and my devotional reading and other things. But then problems are never going to die down. The bad weather is the nature of this material world. There was one disciple, and the Guru was again and again urging him that why don't you take to bhakti seriously, why don't you practice your sadhana nicely. He said, "Gurudev, there are so many problems in my life. Once these problems get solved, I am going to do all of these regulative principles and all of these practices nicely." So the Gurudev was trying every time. So one fine day, the Gurudev called him, "I have a service for you." So he said, "Yes, Gurudev, I can do it." So the Guru said that tonight, can you take care of the camels in the ashram? There was in the desert, and there were 10 camels in that ashram. So he said, you have to do this service that all through the night, all the camels should be sitting down. None of them should be standing. They should be just sitting down. And this disciple said, "All right, this is no big deal. I will do it. I'll make sure all of them are sitting all through the night." And then at the daybreak, he came back to the Guru, and Guru asked him, "So how was your night? Did you catch some rest?" He said, "Not at all, Swamiji. I could not have any rest." Why? He said, "See, while I made all of those camels sit down, then after some time one will stand up. Then I go and make that sit down, someone else will stand up. And then I make that sit down, and then some sixth camel will stand up. So like this, all through the night I was making these camels sit down, and I could not catch rest." So you know what the Swamiji said? These are the problems of your life. These 10 camels are the 10 problems of life. There may be a financial problem, there may be a career problem, there may be a health problem, there may be a relationship problem. While you solve one problem, You solve the relationship problem, the career problem will rise up, the financial problem will rise up. When you solve that, the health problem will rise up. Does it mean you will not catch rest? You will. So similarly, there may be problems going on in our life. That doesn't mean that we wait for solution to all the problems and then only we will practice bhakti. So here Brahmaji is demonstrating by his own example that how there is bad weather, but then he is taking shelter of the Lord, and by his knowledge and his austerity, his jnana and his tapasya, he is dealing with the problem. So he is not dealing with the problem based on material techniques. He is dealing with the problem that he is facing with spiritual wisdom. So, many times we may often feel that, we pray to the Lord that, oh Lord, please solve these problems of mine. But what Kunti Devi is praying, Tvai me ananya vishaya mati madhupate sakrit pratir udvahatam adha gange voham udanvati. So she is praying, let my devotion be like Ganga. And while she is offering her prayer, she is not saying, let the mountains be obliterated and destroyed. She is not praying for that. All she's saying is, my flow of devotion should be like Ganga. So even if there are mountains and Himalayas on the way, I will circumvent and cross them to come to you. Right? So that is the mood of a devotee, to not wait for resolution of the problems, to practice one's bhakti. So the verse here says that Brahmaji has become matured in his practice. And this is a sign of a matured devotee, a senior devotee, who doesn't wait for problems to be resolved to to practice intense devotional service. So, whereas an immature or an amateur devotee will find obstacles slowing down his or her speed in bhakti, slowing down his or her commitment in bhakti. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Madhurya Kadambini, he gives 6 symptoms of an immature or an amateur devotee. So he is describing the different stages of the 9 stages of devotional service. Ado Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Tata Bhajan Kriya. And in Bhajan Kriya, he says there are 2 types of Bhajan Kriya. Anisthita Bhajan Kriya, unsteady bhakti or bhajan, and nisthita bhajan, steady devotional service, steady bhajan. And he says these 6 symptoms of anisthita bhajan, they are diseases. These are diseases of the mind, intelligence and the ego, because of which one is not able to be steady in one's bhakti. So I'll enumerate these 6 symptoms of anisthita bhajan. The first one is utsahamai. Utsahamai means that there is false enthusiasm. Just as someone in the initial days, he may start feeling that, oh, it's so simple. I'm an advanced devotee. I chanted 64 rounds. And one may feel that aaj bharti kal chakravarti. Today I chanted 64 rounds. Then maybe next Ekadashi I'll chant 192 rounds and then even go past Haridas Thakur. Right? I'll create Guinness Book of World Record. So there is this false confidence. So this is the problem of delusion. Delusion where one imagines that one has become advanced while one is just a novice. So that's the first obstacle which Chakravarti Thakur says, that there is utsahamai, false enthusiasm. And I'll also share some examples from the Bhagavatam of such a kind of a attitude to just make things more relatable. So the Brahmanas, the Yajnik Brahmanas described in the 10th canto, when Krishna sent the cowherd boys to fetch some foodstuffs from them, so that time their response is captured by Shukdev Goswami. He says, Iti te bhagavat yachna shrinvato apina shushruvah shudrasha bhuri karmano balisha vriddha manina. So while they are very enthusiastic in performing the yajna, but they are not seeing that it is the Yajna Purush for whom we are performing this Yajna. He is asking to give a direct offering, a direct sacrifice, a direct oblation. So while they are thinking that we are very advanced, Vriddha Manina, Vriddha means mature. They are thinking that we are, Vriddha means mature. But what they actually are, Balisha. They are very childish and immature. So that is the first symptom of anishtita bhajan, thinking oneself to be advanced while one is just a novice. So that's the first attitude. The second is, he says, so this is connected to the ego, where the ego superimposes false advancement on oneself that I am great devotee. The second is utsahamai. Second is Ghanatarala. So Ghanatarala is basically thick, thin devotional service. Sometimes when I feel like doing bhakti, I do it. I just, oh, this kirtan is nice, the music is nice, I'll sit down. Whereas, oh, I don't like this singer. So I'm not attending the kirtan. So the Ghanatarala stage is basically the problem of discipline. The first is a problem of delusion. The second is a problem of discipline, where when I do bhakti because it makes me feel good. If it makes me feel good, then I'll do it. I honor prasadam, but then I have my menu. This is the prasadam I honor. So there is Ghana Tarala. So I rendered limbs of devotional service only when it makes me feel good. And the example we can give is that of Indra. So Indra, with his thousands of eyes, he's crying tears and doing abhishek of the Lord at one moment. And the next moment, when Lord takes the Parijata tree, he's ready to attack the same Lord whom he is worshipping. The same Lord whom he has called from the spiritual world for paritranayam sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. The same Lord, when he stops the Indra Puja, the thick, thin, Ghana Tarala, he sends a Samvaltaka cloud to fight against the same Lord. So there is this dvandva, this duality, this conflict in the life of a neophyte devotee, where sometimes it makes me feel good, I'll do it. Other times, not so good. So I'm at odds with bhakti. Then the next is, he says, is Vishaya Sangara. This is also connected to the mind. Vishaya Sangara means the temptation for sense gratification. Falling for the temptations for sense gratification. So this is the problem of desires or distraction. So the first was the problem of delusion. Utsamai, second is the problem of discipline. Ghanatarala, the third is the problem of desire or distraction, which is Vishaya Sangara. And because the practitioner is dependent on what makes me feel good, and for the conditioned mind, what makes us feel good is sense gratification. So eventually one falls in the trap of sense gratification and unable to, hold up to one's vows. And the example is Ajamil. We can see the example of Ajamil, that when he saw that sight, that completely overwhelmed him, and he could not focus his mind to the spiritual principles. And also we can see the example of Sugriva. He had promised to Lord Ram that I will help you find Mother Sita, but then he again slipped into the slippery slope of sense gratification. So this Vishaya Sangara, where a devotee starts practicing bhakti, but then this slippery slope of sense gratification again and again, makes one slip away. So that is connected to the mind, the problem of desire or distraction. The fourth is Vyudha Vikalpa. And the next one is connected to the intelligence, diseases of the intelligence. Vyudha Vikalpa is a problem of discrimination or, doubt, where one is unable to make the decisions in bhakti. One is confused about whether I should do it or I should not. And we can see the example of Arjun, who was in doubt. He says to the Lord that I'm confused. Karpanya dovasho upahat swabhava prachami tvam dharma sammudha cheta. Dharma sammudha, I am unable to figure out what is my duty, what is my dharma, what should I do. So here, because the mind becomes clouded by sense gratification, and as we see that ध्यायतो विषयां पुंसा संगतेषु पजायते संग संजायते कामा क्रामा क्रोधो विजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहा. In the progression from contemplation of sense objects, there's attachment, lust, and finally one gets bewildered and is unable to have clear intelligence, unable to have clarity by which one can make the right decisions on the path of devotional service. And every day we have to make decisions, every moment we have to make decisions to move ahead in bhakti, or stay where we are or go back, right? So here at this stage, Vyudha Vikalpa, the discrimination is not quite clear. Problem of discrimination. And the next is Niyam Akshama. Niyam Akshama is the problem of determination. Well, even though I know what's the right thing, even if my intelligence is clearly telling me, I don't have any doubt, the intelligence is telling me that this is the right choice that I need to make, but I cannot stick to it because my intelligence is not that strong and strengthened in the scriptures. So this Niyam Akshama is the problem of determination. Because there's dryness, one hasn't found that taste. Just as one has taste for sense gratification, one has not developed a taste for the practices of bhakti, and therefore, after a certain period of time, by sheer willpower, one is unable to sustain one's vows. So Chakra Thakur says that one may take a vow that, this Kartik I will chant extra rounds. Day one, maybe I'll chant 25 rounds, 32 rounds. But then as one day, second day, third day passes, and you find, at night, 11 o'clock, you have 10 more rounds to chant. And he says, and you think about it, let me chant tomorrow. So that Niyam Akshama, unable to keep one's vows. And we can see the example of, there could be many examples, but I was thinking of the example of Shobhari. There was dryness in his practices. He had taken vows to sit underneath water in Yamuna, in Vrindavan. And he was doing his meditation as a yogi, but because there was dryness in the heart, he was unable to sustain his vows. And he fell down because of that. And the sixth problem or disease which he describes is again the problem of the ego. This is Taranga Rangini. And this is the problem of deception. He says that on the path of bhakti, when one crosses the other things and becomes a little bit steady in bhakti, then what follows is puja, la, pratishtha, adoration, distinction, and accolades. So what happens because of that, when there is so much of recognition of one being a nice devotee or one being sense controlled, then that pride actually makes one, pride cometh before the fall. So this is the problem of deception, where one deceives oneself. One knows that I am not that advanced. One knows that I am interested in these other secondary rewards that I am getting from bhakti. I am not doing this service for the sake of pleasing Krishna. I am doing this because the other people, they recognize, other people, they give me recognition. That's why I'm interested in this service. So this Taranga Rangini is a stage of the problem of deception, where one deceives oneself of the true benefit. One thinks that I'm using this power, position, and everything to serve Krishna. So I'm not interested in this power and position. I'm just using it to serve Krishna. But actually, intrinsically, it's the other way around. I am doing this bhakti many times because, I'll get that power and position. So that is a trap of deception. And we see the example of Daksha. While he is the greatest of Prajapatis, he has been given the post of the leader of the Prajapatis, given an important service. But then the problem of deception, he tells the assembly that I am not speaking out of envy. I am speaking out of maintaining the etiquette of a civilized society. And he criticizes Lord Shiva, right? So Chakra Thakur says that these 6 symptoms of anishtita bhajan, they characterize the bhakti when one is not mature enough. And it's not that to discourage us, but these are just symptoms. If we know the symptoms, as a doctor, if the doctor knows the symptoms, then he can diagnose and cure, right? So when we know these are the symptoms, then we can make progress. So, and Chakra Thakur says, what is the root cause of these symptoms? Because the symptoms may show up, but then the doctor goes to the root of it. And he gives primarily 2 root causes of anishtita bhajan. One is dushkritortha anarthas and aparadotha anarthas. Anarthas basically misgivings, the anarthas. And there are 2 types. One is dushkritotha anartha. Dushkritotha means the past sinful activities that we have done, past sinful indulgences that we have been to, they cause avidya, asmita, raga, dvesh, abhinivesh. They cause all of these attachment to sense gratification and avidya, ignorance. And because of that, one has lingering taste for sense gratification. So this is dushkritotha anartha, and then there's aparadotha anartha. Aparadotha anartha is those anarthas which manifest because of different forms of aparad, especially naam aparad. So there's naam aparad, there's seva aparad, there are dham aparad, but all the other aparads can be corrected by chanting the holy names. But naam aparad and Vaishnava aparad, so they are difficult. So he says that when there are these aparads, then one is unable to progress from this stage of anishtita bhajan. However, the hope is that by the same bhajan, when we intensely and sincerely practice this bhajan, then gradually we move forward and progress. And he says, and everything unfurls. He says, just as you have a new shoot coming out from the ground and 2 very soft, tender, leaves come out from that shoot. And these 2 new leaves are in the creeper of devotional service, bhakti, are Kleshagni and Shubhada. So these 2 very, very tender leaves are coming out, Kleshagni. All these kleshas which we see are removed. All of these anishtita bhajan is removed by practice of bhajan. So, and he says that gradually one progresses. Initially there is Ekadesha Vartini Anartha Nivritti. The Anarthas, Ekadesha Vartini is that beginning of Anartha Nivritti. Then there is Bahudesha Vartini, which is more manifest. Then there is Prayika, almost complete Anartha Nivritti. Then there is Purna, which is complete Anartha Nivritti. And there is Atyantika Anartha Nivritti, when one is ready to take the flight back home, back to Godhead. So he says that all of this is in store. The Lord is ready and waiting to unleash all of these stages. All we need to do is to become mature in our practices of bhakti. And how do we become mature? By sincerely taking shelter of the same bhajan, right? And when one becomes mature in bhakti, then as we see in the example of Brahmaji, he is not a fair weather devotee. He's an all-weather devotee. Whatever be the weather, he is completely fixed up in his practice of devotional service. And here, what is being shown here is there's this winds and there are these storms and the water, cyclone, everything is there. And he drinks that entire storm up. He drinks the water and the storm and the wind, which is disturbing his devotional service. So there's this Bisleri's campaign, and drink it up, right? They are showing everywhere, drink it up, pani piyo. So here Brahmaji is drinking it up, drinking all the obstacles which are stopping him from rendering his service. So if we should have a bhakti drink it up campaign, becoming mature in bhakti, by which we can drink up all the obstacles that may come on our path. And we can take so much of hope and so much of inspiration from the examples given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. What to speak of drinking it up, just the storm, we have Lord Shiva, who drinks up the poison. tapyante lokatapena sadhava prayasha jana paramaradhanam tadhi purushasya akhilatmana. So, in order to remove the obstacle in the Samudra Manthan, Lord Shiva takes the service of drinking up the poison, right? So, whenever we see there is an obstacle in a service, in a community of devotees, it may not be my service, but then I come forward to drink it up. If I can help the other devotees so that they can render their service nicely. So that is the mood of Lord Shiva. He's showing drinking up the poison. Parikshit Maharaj, how did he respond? Tiraskrata vipralabdha shapta kshipta hata api nasya tat pratikurvanti tat bhakta prabhobihi. When any reversal strikes in our lives, we become bogged down, we become morose, we become slowed down. But Parikshit Maharaj, he takes that curse as an opportunity to intensify his bhakti. Rather than become slack or having doubts in bhakti, he takes it an opportunity to intensify his bhakti. And therefore, Parikshit Maharaj says that whatever reversal may come in the life of a devotee, it only strengthens their resolve. Tiraskrata, vipralabdha, even if they are criticized, they are abused, whatever happens, they don't change their nature. What did Parikshit Maharaj do? He drank up the curse. Whatever that takshak or any other snake bird is, let it come and bite me. But all of you sages, you make me drink the nectar of Harikatha. Right? And when we drink up this nectar of Harikatha, then we can drink the poison of any curse or any problem, any reversal, which material energy is anyways going to send to us. Right? Then you have example of Chitraketu Maharaj. He was also cursed by Parvati. Right? He immediately, without any being unfazed, he accepted that, even to become a demon. Right? Narayana parasarve na kutaschana bibyati swarga apavarga narkeshu api tulyartha darshana. Lord Shiva says that for a devotee it doesn't matter. Right? So someone on the path of karma, when problems, obstacles, reversals come on their path, what their response is to dodge those problems, it's a defensive approach to dodge those problems. And what is that verse? Graheshu kuta dharmeshu dukkha tantreshu atandrita kurvan dukkha pratikaram sukhaman manyate grahi. That whatever problems are there, let me dodge them around. Let me just counter these problems so that my life is peaceful. That's the path of karma. On the path of jnana, the response to reversals and problems is deny. That Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. This world is false, illusory anyways. So what's the point? Right? So you just like the ostrich closing one's eyes thinking that there's no danger. Right? So the response of karma is dodging the problem. The response of jnana is denying the problem. But it is only the path of bhakti which can drink up the problem. When the prostitute came, the temptation came in the form of that prostitute to Haridas Thakur, he didn't run away from there. He didn't dodge the problem. He did not deny. He drank it up. Okay, you are there. You are also part and parcel of Krishna. So I am just chanting this Hare Krishna. And you also sit and listen. Right? So that strength is possible only on the path of bhakti. And we see the contrasting example of Ambarish and Durvasa Rishi. So Durvasa Rishi was a great sage, great mystic yogi. But when the Sudarshan started chasing him, he was dodging around, he was running away, he was asking for forgiveness to the Lord. But then, in the case of Ambarish Maharaj, when Durvasa Muni sent that demon, he was just standing there drinking it up. Durvasa could not tolerate him drinking up a drop of Charanamrit. But here he is tolerating and drinking up, okay, you send, I have done a mistake, I have done an offense to my guest, so I am drinking it up. So this strength, this power to drink up the storms and the tribulations which come in this world is only provided to a devotee, and that is all of our good fortune. That is the power that we have been given. Devi hi esha gunamai mama maya duratya mame vaye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. To to overcome the insurmountable material energy. That's the power that Srila Prabhupada and all our acharyas are handing over to us, the key to that power, right? So now the question arises, we see these examples of great devotees, Lord Shiva drinking up the poison, Chitraketu Maharaj drinking up the curse, Parikshit Maharaj drinking up that Takshaka curse, or Haridas Thakur drinking up the temptation. But then how do we develop that maturity to overcome these anarthas, the anishtita bhajan, the problem of delusion, the problem of discipline, the problem of distraction or desire, the problem of determination, the problem of discrimination, and the problem of deception. So how do we become mature? The solution and the key is given in this same verse which we are discussing. How did Brahmaji get the strength to drink up the storms in his life? By jnana and tapa. As the verse says, here is that it was his jnana and his tapa. And it is not that he has made it up on his own. That is knowledge and austerity. No, it was instructed by the Lord, as we see in the previous chapter. Lord advised to Brahmaji, Bhuyas tvam tapa atishtha vidyam chaiva mad ashrayam tabhyam antar hridi brahman lokan drakshasi apavratan. You will get the vision of how to do your service by these two things. Tapa atishtha, sit down in austerity. Vidyam chaiva mad ashraya, take shelter of the knowledge of bhakti. So by this knowledge, jnana and tapa, Brahmaji matured his own devotional service by which he can deal with any storms. Do we all become powerful like Brahmaji? We are in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Parampara and he is passing down through the Parampara that same power to us. And the key is the jnana and tapa. But we need to understand what this key is. What does jnana and tapa mean? Otherwise, these are just words, right? What exactly does it mean to practice jnana and tapa? So let's spend some time on that. So when we say jnana, does jnana means knowing? Actually, this has become a kind of derogatory term. Arey, jnana mat do zyada. Don't give your jnana to us. So jnana doesn't mean knowing. Jnana actually in the Vedic context means seeing. So jnana, Ravan had jnana, Hiranyakashipu had jnana, Indra had jnana, all of them had jnana, but they were not seeing based on the lens of that jnana, right? So we may know many things, but we don't see the world based on that knowledge. And then what happens is we see, but we don't see. Dehapatya kalatradishu atmasaineshu asatswapi tesham pramatto nidhanam pashyan apina pashyati. We see, we know, but we don't see based on that knowledge, right? So, and if you think about it, the Vedic understanding of knowledge is seeing, because you say, Krishna says, Tattvadarshi. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevya upadekshanti te jnana jnaninas tattvadarshina. Those, just not those who know the knowledge, just not those who know the truth, but who see the truth, who have direct realization of the truth, right? So that is what knowledge means, to be able to see, not just know theoretically. And therefore philosophy is called darshan. It's called darshan shastra. Darshan means to see. So we have darshan arati every day, right, where we take darshan of the Lord. But when we open the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also supposed to be darshan arati, because we are meant to see Krishna in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? It's not just, black and white, black letters on a white page. No, you are meant to see Krishna, and therefore it's darshan. The philosophy is meant for us to be able to see the Lord, or change the way which we see the world. That's why it is called darshan. And what do we mean by Veda? Vedas, or the Shastras, are basically the way Krishna sees the world. There are different ways in which we see the world. You have your perception, I have my perspective, someone else has their perspective, and then log kya kahenge, that is another perspective. What people are thinking, that is the most important perspective, right? But then the real perspective of what is the truth is how Krishna sees the world. And how Krishna sees the world is nothing but the Shastras, right? So if we need to see the world as it is, then it doesn't matter what you think, what I think, what someone else thinks. What's important is what Krishna sees. And when our vision aligns with how Krishna sees the world, Bhumi Rapo Analo Vayu Kham Mano Buddhi Revcha Ahankar Itiyame Bhinna Prakriti Ashtita, all of this material energy, it is my energy. So when we see things of this world, do we get enamored, or we see that, oh, this is Yadyad Vibhuti Matsattvam Srimad Urjitam Evava Tattad Evava Gachatvam Mama Tejo Amsha Samvad. We see as, oh, this is Krishna's spark of Krishna's splendor. Right? So are we seeing the world based on a conditioned vision, or our vision aligns with the vision of Krishna, how Krishna is seeing the world, and that's the truth. So knowledge, Gyan, doesn't mean just knowing things theoretically. Knowledge means seeing the world through that knowledge, right? And a Pandit is not someone who simply knows. And if you think about the aphorisms and the verses, Chanakya Pandit says that Matravat Paradareshu Paradraveshu Loshtavat Atmavat Sarvabhuteshu Yah Pashyati Sa Pandita. Not one who knows that every woman other than a wife is a mother. Not one who knows that any object or possession which belongs to someone else as a scrap. No, one who sees it that way. That's called knowledge, that's called Gyan. And that's when one sees in that way, when one sees, one's vision matches with the vision of the scriptures, that's called Gyan. And that's what Brahmaji is having here. Otherwise, we may know many things, right? We don't require a lot of knowledge. So this Gyan is not about information, it's about insight. It's the insight which matters. So we may have come across many, many profound shlokas and verses and prayers right in the first day of our bhakti. But probably even till now, speaking for myself, I'm not seeing the world that way. When we say Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha, I know it. I have memorized it. I can autopilot mode, I can recite it. But then, do I see Vaishnavas in that way? I don't. But then Hladini Mataji, Srila Prabhupada's disciple, when there was attack on the Vaishnavas in the temple, devotees who were like, disciples of her god brothers, she saw them as Vaishnavas and she jumped forward to save their lives. These are Vaishnavas. How can you kill them? How can you hurt them? Right? She didn't just recite that verse, she saw that verse in action. So that's the journey that is required. We may say Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Koriya Ekya, recite every day, but then it takes Bhakti Tirth Maharaj to actually go into the iron curtain, because Srila Prabhupada wants book distribution. So even though he's a black person in a white country, he does it. That's not just saying Guru Mukha Padma Vakya, that's seeing Guru Mukha Padma Vakya. So there's a difference between knowing and seeing. And once, I'll just share one example of a drunkard. He saw an advertisement that there's an essay competition on perils of alcoholism, and he knew this in and out from realization. So he wrote a nice big essay, 2,000 words, and he won the competition. He got the first prize, a cash prize of 10,000 rupees. And you know what he did with that? 10,000 rupees, went and got the best brand. Right? So knowing and seeing are not the same. Right? He knew it, but he didn't see it in the same way. So therefore, the scriptures are telling us Shastra Chakshusha. Vedanta Sutra, Shastra Chakshusha. Shastra is not just a book. Shastra has to be installed here. Shastra Chakshu, by which we can see. So what do we need to do is again and again, every day come back to the Shastra. I am speaking this to myself. A disclaimer, I am not here to instruct, but this is what we need to do to actually take that journey. We have all come here for that. Is it not? To develop that strength. And so every day coming back to the scripture, at least वो चश्मा हमारे पास होना चाहिए, शास्त्र चक्षु का spectacle. If we don't even have the spectacle, how will we put it up? So first thing is, every day when we read the Bhagavatam, read Prabhupada's books, then we at least have the spectacle. And that's a different thing when we put up the spectacle, and then situations, difficult situations, whatever comes in our lives, temptations come, and the monkey of the mind steals that spectacle. We all have experience in Vrindavan. At least I have a lot of experiences, with spectacle, going to Vrindavan. And the first time I went, I was, wow, I'm here in the same place. Krishna's pastimes are happening. And suddenly someone tapped me from behind. And I looked back. And then suddenly there was a weight here. And the monkey took out my spectacle from the other side. I was completely, flabbergasted. What was happening here? And then, of course, fruity. And then I got it back. And that's what the monkey of the mind does to us every day. Even though we may read the scriptures, we may hear the Bhagavatam, but then the monkey of the mind, it may just deflect our vision. So coming back to the scriptures every day, that's important for Gyan, not just knowing but seeing. And then the second thing is tapa. We'll just take this up. What is tapa? Tapa means, burning. Tapna means burning. But does tapa means to burn yourself in fire, standing in fire, in the heat? No. Tapa means not burning but serving. Serving what? Serving the truth. So studying the truth is not enough. We need to see the truth. And seeing the truth is not enough. We need to serve the truth. And with the conditioned mind and senses, serving the truth might not be palatable. But taking the austerity to still do it, because that's the means for our advancement, that is tapa. So typically for a devotee, what tapa means is anukulasya sankalpa pratikulasya varjanam. Whatever it takes to serve the truth, that accepting that is basically tapa. And there are gaps, as I said, between studying and seeing. We may study the scripture but not see based on the scripture. We may see based on the scripture, but we may not serve the truth based on the scriptures. Right? I'll just give an example. So we hear cleanliness is next to godliness. Classic example. Prabhupada writes, cleanliness is next to godliness. But then, coming from hostel life, when you don't figure out, it doesn't strike you. Cleanliness is next to godliness, right? Correct. Right? But then your place where you're staying, the locker and everything is all, messed up, right? It doesn't even register because I know, but I don't see. Pashyanapi na pashyati. I know it, but I can't see it. So the journey from studying or knowing to seeing is done through Shravanam and Mananam. So from not knowing to knowing is Shravanam. From knowing to seeing it is Mananam. When we start contemplating on what we have heard, actively applying our intelligence that, okay, this is not just theory sitting here. How does it apply in my life? So when we engage actively with the scriptures, after closing the book, let's start thinking about it. That what did Krishna tell to me? What in the Bhagavad Gita? Right? So that journey from Shravanam, from studying to seeing is through Mananam. And then from Mananam to Nididhya, from actually seeing to serving the truth, that's another journey which requires the stage of Nididhyasanam, which is applying what we are reading and seeing. So I may know that cleanliness is next to godliness. Next, I see cleanliness is next to godliness. But then do I do something about it? There's a Gaurang Prabhu tells about this story long back, many decades back. Initially, the ashram was unclean and Maharaj would tell cleanliness is next to godliness. And devotees would hear, yes, Maharaj, you are right. Prabhupada says cleanliness next to godliness. But then no one was doing anything about it. So one day Maharaj took up the broom and Radha Maharaj personally started brooming. And then devotees came up, Maharaj, why are you doing this? Leave it, we will do. And so they were just saying. Since Maharaj didn't, give the broom, he was just sweeping. And then Maharaj said, you are all saying, but you are not picking up the broom yourself. So we may be, knowing it, seeing it, but then do we actively do something about it? And that is called serving. And Vidura says, Artha bhavam vinishchitya pratitasyapi natmana tam shapi yushmacharana sevayaham paranude. He says, oh Maitra Rishi, Artha bhavam. मुझे अर्थ समझ में आ रहा है आप what knowledge you are giving, I am understanding it, knowing it. Pratitasya, I am also seeing it, I am perceiving it, but still there is a gap. And what's that gap? The gap of realizing it, and that will take place by serving. Yushmat Charana Sevaya Aham Paranude. This gap will be overcome by serving. So, from not knowing to knowing, the gap is filled by Shravanam. From knowing to seeing, the gap is filled by Mananam. And from seeing to realizing or living the truth is through serving or Nididhyasanam, applying the truth. And so this Jnana and Tapa, which Brahmaji has performing here, is not ordinary. This is the most profound conclusion of all scriptures. And what we have been celebrating this last 1 month, the Kartik month, it's actually very symbolic. Jnana and Tapa. What does the Kartik lamp represent? If you think about it, Kartik lamp is offering the heat and light. Jnana is light and Tapa is heat. So we are offering that lamp of Jnana and Tapa at the lotus feet of Radha Gopinath ji, Radha Damodar. And this vrata is called Urja Vrata. The Kartik Vrata, it is called Urja Vrata. Because it is a vrata taken to please Urjeshwari Srimati Radharani. And what is that Urja, this energy, the energy of Bhakti, to offer one's, all one's energy in the service of the Lord. Right? So this month is also very symbolic that the devotee desires and aspires to offer all one's energy in the service of the Lord, to cultivate that knowledge, not just knowing but seeing based on the scriptures, and not just seeing but serving the truth by taking austerities. It may not be pleasing, it may not be palatable, but then doing it because it pleases Krishna, because it is serving the truth. So this is the beautiful Urja Vrata that we all have been doing. And I was just, Jai Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan Ki Jai. I'll just conclude with this. I was just talking to a devotee and he was saying that, Prabhu, last 1 month has been, so wonderful. Every day coming to the temple, offering the lamp. And now I'm so attached, to this Damodar Ashtakam. What will happen after the Kartik Vrat? So that's, Srila Prabhupada has given us this wonderful programs. And so I was thinking, probably as devotees, we are looking forward. When will the Kartik month again come? Radha Damodar Kartik La Pudcha Varshi Laukariya. That please come back again very quickly. So that's the greatest gift that Srila Prabhupada has given us. That these wonderful festivals, in terms of Madhava Tithi, Bhakti Janani, by which we can develop and cultivate this Jnana and Tapa and offer it to the Lord. And as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that Bahavo Jnana Tapasa Putam Mad Bhavam Agataha. You come back to me. Many people have come back to me in the past by this Jnana and Tapa and come back to this original consciousness. And today is also the day when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered Vrindavan. So entering back into the Vrindavan consciousness is the ultimate attainment of all of these vratas that we are doing. So with this, we'll conclude here, hoping and praying that very soon we'll again get to celebrate this Kartik month again and again in our lives. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.